8 signs a woman is protected by Allah from evil people. When a woman is truly protected by Allah from evil people, her life carries a certain light that others cannot explain. There is a calmness in her heart even when the world around her is in chaos. She is not untouchable because she has built high walls for herself. She is untouchable because the one who owns the heavens and the earth is guarding her. People may plot against her, whisper lies about her, or try to bring her down. But they forget one thing: no plan against her can succeed if Allah has decreed her safety. Protection from Allah is not always loud or dramatic. Sometimes it is quiet, hidden, and subtle. It may come in the form of people suddenly leaving her life, or opportunities she thought she wanted suddenly slipping away, only for her to later realize those things would have been her downfall. A woman under the protection of Allah understands that her safety does not only lie in locked doors and careful steps. It lies in her connection to the one who sees the unseen and knows the intentions of every heart. She knows that there are battles she doesn't even have to fight because Allah fights them for her. When someone plans to harm her, He can turn their plans into nothing. When someone wishes to see her humiliated, He can raise her honor instead. There are moments when she feels a strange urge to step away from a conversation, to cancel a meeting, or to not respond to a message. And later she learns that this instinct was actually divine protection, saving her from harm she could not have predicted. When Allah protects a woman, her dignity is preserved even when others try to drag it through the mud. She does not have to chase after false rumors or try to explain herself to those who have already chosen to misunderstand her. Instead, Allah places the truth in the hearts of those who matter and blinds the hearts of those who are not worthy of her trust. Even when she is attacked verbally or emotionally, she finds a strange patience that keeps her from lowering herself to respond in kind. This is not because she doesn't feel the sting of hurt, but because Allah strengthens her to remain above the traps of those who want to see her break. A woman guarded by Allah will often experience doors closing on her, and though she may at first feel disappointment, she later realizes those closed doors were mercy. Sometimes what we see as rejection is actually protection. That job that didn't work out, that friend who stopped calling, that proposal that never moved forward. All of these could have been chains disguised as blessings. Allah removes from her life anything and anyone that would corrupt her heart, harm her faith, or dim her light. Even if she does not understand it in the moment, she trusts that the one who sees the future knows what she cannot see. Her circle becomes smaller as the years pass, but the ones who remain are sincere. This is one of the greatest protections, to be surrounded only by those who want good for her. The false friends who once used her or spoke ill of her behind her back begin to distance themselves, and she does not chase after them. She understands that when Allah removes someone from her life, it is because He has heard conversations she didn't hear and seen actions she didn't see. She lets them go, for she knows that what leaves her is never meant to harm her if she is under Allah's protection. Even in moments when she is alone, she does not feel abandoned. She finds comfort in solitude because she knows she is never truly alone. Allah is with her. This is a sign of deep protection, when her heart finds rest in remembering her Creator more than in the presence of people. She is not desperate for attention or validation from others, for she knows that the honor given by Allah is far greater than the praise of the world. When she walks into a room, her value is not measured by how many eyes turn to see her, but by how many angels surround her in prayer. There are times when she notices that those who once intimidated or oppressed her seem to have no power over her anymore. The words of the arrogant no longer wound her. The manipulation of the deceitful no longer confuses her, and the cruelty of the bitter no longer shakes her faith. This is because Allah has placed a shield around her heart. She can hear hurtful words without absorbing them, see unfair actions without them destroying her peace. This shield is not built by her strength alone. It is a gift from the one who promised to be the ally of the believers. Sometimes Allah's protection comes in the form of exposing the intentions of others before they can cause lasting harm. She might notice that someone's true colors are revealed to her early on, allowing her to distance herself before it is too late. This is a mercy many do not recognize, to see the reality of someone before they can damage your soul. A woman under Allah's care is given insight that is sharper than mere observation. It is a form of guidance that helps her discern the sincerity of those around her. This is why she rarely gets trapped in long-term toxic relationships. Allah reveals the truth in time for her to walk away. Another sign of divine protection is that she does not retaliate with evil when wronged. She may feel anger, but she chooses restraint. She understands that when she hands over her pain to Allah, instead of seeking revenge, she's allowing Him to handle it in ways far more just and complete than she ever could. And indeed, she sees with her own eyes how those who try to harm her end up harming themselves, and how those who plot against her become trapped in their own plots. She learns that her role is not to destroy her enemies, but to remain upright, for Allah's justice never sleeps. There are moments when the world cannot understand how she is still standing after all she has been through. They cannot see the invisible hands that have carried her, the doors that have been opened for her when others tried to lock them, or the peace that settled in her heart in moments when others expected her to fall apart. They cannot see how, in her darkest hours, Allah sent her the right words, the right people, or the right opportunities to pull her out of despair. To them it may look like she is simply a lucky or a strong, but she knows that it is divine protection, a gift that cannot be earned except through trust, patience, and faith. She learns to walk through life without fear of what people can do to her, for she understands that no one can harm her without Allah's permission. This does not make her reckless. It makes her content. She takes precautions, but she does not live in paranoia. She knows that even if harm touches her, it will only be to raise her in rank and purify her soul, not to destroy her. When you understand that every event in your life is under Allah's wisdom, you stop fearing people and start fearing only Him. A woman under Allah's protection radiates a sense of safety to others as well. Her presence brings calm, and her words carry sincerity. People trust her because they sense that she lives by principles higher than personal gain. They may not realize it, but they are drawn to the light of her faith. Even those who dislike her find it hard to harm her, for Allah places an invisible barrier between her and their evil. The protection of Allah is not just about keeping harm away. It is also about granting her the strength to handle what does come her way. It is about giving her patience that others envy, wisdom that others seek, and a heart that remains soft in a hard world. It is about placing love for her in the hearts of the righteous and removing her from the hearts of the corrupt. It is about elevating her in ways that cannot be measured by status, wealth, or fame. This kind of woman may not even realize how much she is protected. She may look at her life and think she has faced many struggles, but if she knew how many traps she has avoided, how many dangers have been turned away from her, and how many prayers have been answered without her even making them, she would spend her days in endless gratitude. The truth is, she is living under a shield of mercy, one that is renewed each day she turns to Allah sincerely. Each day she chooses His pleasure over her own desires. Each day she forgives when she could have taken revenge, and each day she remembers Him in private as much as in public. When a woman is protected by Allah from evil people, it is not because she is perfect, but because she seeks His protection constantly. She asks for guidance, she humbles herself in prayer, and she puts her trust in Him above all else. And as long as she does that, no plot against her will prosper, no falsehood will destroy her, and no enemy will triumph over her. For the one who protects her is the one who owns all power, and with Him she is safe beyond what words can describe. She is protected not by her strength alone, but by the sincerity of her heart and her trust in Allah. For sincerity is a shield no enemy can pierce. Her strength is not just in the firmness of her voice or the steadiness of her steps, but in the purity of her intentions that shine through, even when no one else is watching. The sincerity in her heart is a rare treasure that Allah values and safeguards, because it is born out of a deep connection to Him rather than a desire to impress people. When a woman's heart is pure in her dealings, in her worship, and in her relationships, Allah becomes her guardian, and no plot against her can find a way to wound her soul. The world measures protection by walls, locks, and guards, but Allah's protection is far greater. It reaches the places walls cannot defend, such as the heart, the mind, and the unseen future. Her trust in Allah is not just words she recites, it is a state of being. She believes that He is the ultimate protector, the one who knows the secrets of every heart and the details of every plan. When others may panic at uncertainty, She finds peace in knowing that nothing can harm her unless he allows it, and if he allows it, then it is only for her growth, her purification, or her elevation. Her sincerity keeps her intentions clean, and her trust keeps her heart steady, making her a fortress that is guarded by divine will. Enemies may speak ill of her, try to sabotage her, or attempt to lure her into traps, but sincerity blinds their efforts because it removes the weakness they hope to exploit. A woman whose sincerity is her shield does not live a double life. What she presents on the outside matches what is within her. This honesty disarms the manipulative because they cannot twist her into something she is not. Trusting Allah means she does not compromise her values to gain the favor of people, and this frustrates those who seek to control her through flattery or threats. She understands that human approval is fleeting, but Allah's approval is eternal, so she chooses what pleases Him, even if it costs her worldly gain. This makes her unshakable, because those who rely on worldly status can be destroyed by losing it, but those who rely on Allah remain firm no matter what is taken from them. When her sincerity is tested, she does not panic or change her principles to avoid hardship. She knows that every test is an opportunity to prove her loyalty to her Creator. Even when she is wronged, she refuses to repay injustice with injustice, trusting that Allah's justice is far more complete than her own retaliation could ever be. Her sincerity invites divine assistance, and her trust invites divine timing. Together, they form an unbreakable shield, and it is this shield that makes her truly untouchable by the schemes of evil people. Even if they surround her from every side, her silence in moments of provocation is not weakness. It is Allah preserving her dignity when words would have lowered her to the level of her attacker. There is a strength in restraint that many fail to see, for the world often equates victory with the last word, the louder voice, or the sharper insult. But a woman who understands the value of her dignity knows that not every attack deserves a response, and not every wound should be addressed with words. Her silence is not born out of fear or inability. It is a conscious choice to protect her honor from being dragged into the mud of arguments that serve no purpose but to feed the ego of the aggressor. By holding her tongue, she refuses to give her attacker the satisfaction of seeing her lose composure. This silence is not empty. It is filled with patience, self-control, and remembrance of Allah. In that moment, she turns her heart upward, seeking His approval over the fleeting satisfaction of winning a verbal exchange. She knows that Allah is fully aware of what was said to her, what was intended against her, and what lies in the hearts of those who provoke her. A trust in His justice allows her to walk away without bitterness, knowing that silence can speak louder than 1,000 defensive words. This kind of restraint requires more courage than lashing out, because it demands that she place her trust in the unseen rather than in the immediate release of anger. Those who provoke her may mistake her quiet for weakness, but they fail to realize that Allah Himself defends the honor of His servants when they choose patience over retaliation. The dignity He preserves in her is not just in the eyes of people, but also in the unseen realm, where angels record her restraint as an act of worship. This protection extends beyond the moment, for the words she does not utter cannot be twisted, misinterpreted, or used against her later. Her silence becomes a shield, protecting her from escalating conflicts and preserving her peace of mind. By not responding, she denies the attacker the power to dictate her emotions. She keeps her heart clean from the stains of arrogance, spite, or unnecessary hostility. This is not the silence of submission, but the silence of someone who knows her worth and refuses to place it at the mercy of another's provocation. In a world where people are quick to react and slow to think, her ability to pause becomes a mark of wisdom. Even when the temptation to defend herself is strong, she remembers that lowering herself to the level of the attacker would only blur the distinction between. Her silence, then, is a declaration that her dignity is not for sale, her peace is not easily disturbed, and her value is not dependent on proving her strength to those who seek to break it when she is removed from places and people that drain her faith. It is not coincidence. It is Allah pulling her away from harm before she even sees it. Sometimes the shift is so subtle that she barely notices it at first. An invitation she cannot attend, a friendship that slowly fades, a habit she no longer feels drawn to, or a gathering that no longer feels comfortable. In the moment, She may not fully understand why her heart feels unsettled in certain environments, or why certain connections lose their hold on her. But what she cannot see is the unseen danger that lurks behind those moments. The slow erosion of faith, the normalization of sin, the silent influence that could have dimmed her heart without her realizing. This removal is not always easy. It can come with feelings of loneliness, confusion, or even sadness, because walking away from familiar spaces and people can feel like loss. Yet beneath that feeling is a hidden mercy, for Allah knows that some attachments, if left unbroken, would pull her further from Him. What she thinks is just a change in circumstance is, in reality, the gentle yet firm hand of divine protection steering her towards safer ground. It is an answer to prayers she may have forgotten she made, prayers asking Allah to keep her on the straight path and to protect her from anything that could harm her soul. There are times when she might even resist this removal, longing for what was or questioning why things had to change. But as time passes, the wisdom becomes clearer. She begins to notice how her heart feels lighter, her prayers feel more sincere, and her thoughts are more at peace. The constant noise that once surrounded her fades, making space for remembrance of Allah. In this quiet, she realizes that not everyone who smiles at her wishes her well, and not every environment that entertains her nourishes her. Allah protects her not only from open harm, but from the slow and silent harm of environments that distance her from Him. Sometimes this protection means placing her in circles where faith is strengthened rather than weakened, where modesty is respected, where sincerity is valued over status, and where her heart is reminded of her ultimate purpose. Other times it means isolating her for a period so she can learn to stand firmly on her own faith before being surrounded by others again. Whether through closeness to righteous company or distance from harmful influences, the goal is the same: to keep her faith alive, protected, and growing. She comes to understand that her environment shapes her heart, and so when Allah changes her surroundings, He is also shaping her destiny. What she once saw as random shifts are actually deliberate acts of mercy. Each removal is a redirection, each separation a layer of protection, each change a step toward a safer, purer, and more faithful path. She is not afraid to be alone, because she knows solitude with Allah is safer than companionship with those who harm her soul. She has learned that being surrounded by people is not always a sign of happiness, and that the wrong company can be more dangerous than no company at all. Loneliness is not what she fears. What she truly fears is being in the presence of those who weaken her faith, poison her heart, or pull her away from the path of righteousness. Her time alone is not empty. It is filled with reflection, prayer, and the quiet peace of knowing that her Lord is near. In that stillness, she finds clarity that the noise of constant companionship cannot give. When she chooses solitude, it is not an act of withdrawal from the world out of bitterness or pride, but a conscious decision to protect her spiritual well-being. She understands that the soul is shaped by the company it keeps, and that sitting in the wrong gathering can plant seeds of arrogance, jealousy, or heedlessness in the heart. Even when the world tells her that isolation is a sign of weakness or sadness, she knows the truth. Solitude can be a sanctuary where faith is nurtured and where her heart grows stronger. She uses this time to turn her attention entirely to Allah, to speak to Him in whispers, and to find comfort in the knowledge that He listens when no one else does. This contentment in being alone also frees her from desperation for acceptance. She does not cling to harmful relationships out of fear of being left behind. If someone treats her with disrespect, manipulates her, or makes her compromise her values, she will not hesitate to walk away. She knows that losing such companionship is not a loss at all, but a form of protection. Better to be alone with a heart that is pure than to be surrounded by people who slowly erode her morals and self-worth. The presence of Allah in her life fills the space that toxic company would have occupied, making her solitude a blessing rather than a burden. In her alone moments, she reflects on her purpose, strengthens her worship, and realigns her priorities. She learns to enjoy the peace of her own space without the constant need for distraction or validation. She is not dependent on the approval of others to feel whole, because her worth is measured by her closeness to Allah, not by the number of people around her. This independence of heart makes her stronger when she does interact with the world. for she comes from a place of fullness rather than neediness. She carries with her the tranquility of her private moments with Allah, and that inner peace shields her from the harm of those whose presence would have unsettled her soul. Every false friend that walks away is a blessing in disguise, for Allah purifies her circle until only the sincere remain. At first, the departure of someone she trusted may feel like a wound. She may replay conversations in her mind, wonder where the loyalty went, or question why she was left behind. Yet with time, she begins to see the mercy hidden in the loss. False friends are not removed from her life by accident. Their exit is often an answer to prayers she may not have realized she was making, prayers for protection, for truth to be revealed, and for her heart to be surrounded by those who truly wish her well. A false friend may smile in her presence, but harbor envy in their heart, offering sweet words while secretly hoping for her downfall. Such duplicity, if left unchecked, can erode trust, distort self-worth, and even plant seeds of doubt in her faith. Allah, in His wisdom, removes such people before their harm takes root too deeply. The departure might feel abrupt, perhaps even unjust, but it spares her from future pain that could have been far greater. What seems like a betrayal is often the closing of a door that should never have been open in the first place. She comes to understand that companionship is not measured by the number of people who surround her, but by the sincerity of those who remain. When false friends leave, space is created for true ones to enter, those who will remind her of Allah, support her in times of hardship, and celebrate her without hidden agendas. The purification of her circle may leave it smaller, but it becomes richer in quality. She learns to value genuine loyalty over empty numbers, sincerity over superficial closeness. This process of purification also strengthens her discernment. Each loss teaches her to look beyond appearances, to pay attention to consistency of actions rather than charm of words. She becomes less impressed by flattery and more attentive to integrity. Instead of desperately holding on to anyone who offers companionship, she trusts Allah to choose who stays and who goes. Her heart begins to rest in the knowledge that those who walk away were never meant to be part of her journey to begin with. False friends often leave when they can no longer benefit from her, when their attempts to manipulate fail, or when her growth outpaces their comfort. Rather than chasing after them, she allows them to fade into the distance, knowing that forcing their presence would only invite their harm back into her life. The people who remain are those who can be trusted with both her joy and her pain, those whose loyalty does not waver in the face of her success or her struggles. And so, with every false friend who departs, her life becomes lighter, her trust in Allah deeper, and her relationships more meaningful. She does not fight every battle, for she knows that some battles are won when Allah closes her ears to slander and her heart to bitterness. She understands that not every insult needs an answer, and not every provocation deserves her energy. The world is filled with voices that will twist the truth, exaggerate faults, and fabricate lies in an attempt to damage reputations. If she tried to respond to each one, she would exhaust herself and lose focus on what truly matters. Instead, she trusts that Allah is aware of every word spoken, every falsehood spread, and every intention behind it. This trust allows her to let go of the need to defend herself in every situation, because she believes that the one who knows the unseen will defend her better than she ever could. When Allah closes her ears to slander, it is an act of mercy. He spares her from the heaviness that comes with hearing words designed to wound her heart. What she does not hear cannot disturb her peace, and what does not enter her mind cannot take root in her heart. Even when whispers and rumors circulate around her, they are like distant noises that never touch her inner calm. This is a form of protection that many overlook, to be shielded from the knowledge of things that would serve no purpose, but to create pain or anger. Alongside closing her ears, Allah closes her heart to bitterness. Bitterness is a poison that can corrode even the most sincere intentions. If left unchecked, it can turn a person's heart hard, making them view others with suspicion and approach life with resentment. She refuses to let the wrongs of others dictate the softness of her heart. Even when she is wronged, she strives to forgive, not because the offender deserves it, but because she values the purity of her own soul. This does not mean she allows herself to be mistreated repeatedly. It means she chooses to release the burden of hatred, leaving the matter to Allah's justice. She knows that real strength lies not in fighting every battle, but in choosing the ones worth engaging in. Some conflicts are traps, designed only to pull her down to the level of her opponent. By ignoring them, she robs them of the attention they crave. Her silence in such moments is not surrender, it is strategy. It is the quiet confidence of someone who knows that Allah's timing is perfect, and that the truth has a way of revealing itself without her needing to shout. Through this approach, she conserves her energy for battles that truly matter, battles for her faith, her integrity, and her values. She invests her efforts in building, not tearing down, in seeking peace, not fueling chaos. And with each battle she chooses not to fight, she gains a deeper sense of freedom, a lighter heart, and a stronger connection to the one who fights for her in ways she cannot see.